To walk down the steps of the Capitol with a new senator is to share the sense of walking on stones worn down by the tread of giants.
Tonight, witness the senator from Shirkyville.
At this time, Bai was just back from a preparatory trip to Washington, a visit that had left him with some solemn senatorial thoughts.
And I thought to myself, what an impressive sight, and what wonderful things have happened to me in the past few hours. I had not been elected United States Senator for a week, yet I'd had the opportunity to visit with the President, to dine with my wife in the home of the Vice President, to visit with senators from both political parties. And I thought in my own mind, it's a long way from right here to Shirkyville.
Senator Bai, for senator.
Well, I really had never thought much about politics, and finally some folks persuaded me to run for president of the senior class, so I began to learn some of the basics. And I think that's probably where I got the in right there to run for the state legislature later on.
Birch deserves the lion's share of the credit for the resurgence of the Democratic Party in Indiana.
It was seen as a progressive but grounded force here in Indiana, a personality that was able to fight for ideas, but at the same time, he was from the Hoosier soil. He was a farmer, a lawyer, a husband, a father, a son, and he had a great blend.
The '84 campaign, as I recall it, was really a big league campaign.
Go get 'em, Wayne. Go get 'em, Wayne. And tell them the day is done. Go get 'em, Wayne. Go get 'em, Wayne.
Our organization, the Communication Workers of America, we actually had 6 people off working full-time in Senator Townsend's behalf.
In the primary, he had to beat one of the very first serious female candidates for governor in the state of Indiana, Virginia Dill McCarty, and then reached out and nominated the first woman for lieutenant governor, Ann Delaney.
It came down between her and Bob Peterson in the end, my college fraternity brother, very dear friend, a lifelong friend of mine almost. I finally had to tell Bob at that point that I was going to go with Ann Delaney.
And he tried as best he could to, as I say, bolster at that time in my life the weak part of my credentials. And he had me up to the farm, for example, when they were castrating the baby pigs so that I could, enjoy the ambiance of the experience and prepare myself to be Commissioner of Agriculture.
The governor says it's all right. Take the money you pay when you buy your license for your car and use it to line the pockets of the politicians. That makes Governor Orr a part of the most corrupt system practiced by any state in the country.
There was an issue in the campaign, the whole license branch system issue that Wayne exploited very well. It was something the Republicans had used for many years to help them stay in power, and it was something whose time had come for it to end.
It certainly was the issue in that race because since Wayne was running against an incumbent governor, it became sort of the metaphor for entrenched incumbency. And
it's the one service of state government that touches everybody. And so to point out to people that the place where they got their driver's license and their license plate was not a public agency, but was rather being run as a private enterprise for political gain, resonated with voters. But we didn't have the money for media. We didn't have a lot of consultants, and we weren't doing a lot of polling. What we were able to do is to take the resources of the party and the resources of the campaign, put them together, and closely coordinate what we were doing every step of the way. We put together the first voter file in the state of Indiana, which was a monumental task to collect all of that data from all over the state of Indiana.
Students of Indiana political history know that because the governor's race is run in presidential years, and because Indiana tends to vote for the Republican presidential nominee, it's a tough environment for a Democrat to run for governor. And a rule of thumb developed that the gubernatorial candidate could withstand about a 250,000 vote difference at the top of the ticket.
We're within a couple of percentage points of where we needed to be, and didn't quite get over the hump.
80 and 84 was not the year to be on the ticket as a Democrat in Indiana or any place else in the United States, because a fellow named Ronald Reagan just swept everybody out by landslide majorities in the various states. And of course, he carried Indiana like he owned it.
In any other year, Wayne Townsend would have been elected governor.
The main thing that you have to understand about Lee Hamilton in Congress was that his word was as solid as the columns holding up the building. And I remember at one point when I was covering the Iran-Contra hearings, and of course he was chairman of the House committee, I remember a point where he discovered that Oliver North had lied to him. And he had then taken that information back to the Congress, and everybody believed it because Lee Hamilton had said it.
The Iran-Contra situation was where Lee Hamilton again showed his ability to get right to the heart of the issue.
One of the big lessons that came out of Iran-Contra was surely that power has to be accountable.
That could have become a much more difficult situation for our country and for President Reagan if Lee Hamilton hadn't have been at the switches and made sure that the facts came out.
He wasn't a pushover. I mean, I think that Lee kind of seems to people as a very soft-spoken and kind of laid-back person, and the truth is that he actually runs a pretty tight ship.
Again, Lee Hamilton always kept his eye on the ball, and he always did his homework. He did not attack the president. He didn't move it beyond the arena of where what his responsibility was. He kept it focused right on the Iran-Contra issue.
And I believe in Watergate and in Iran-Contra and in all of these other crises of government that we have had. We've struggled through them. We have all had our doubts about the system as we've gone through those passages, but I have come out of them at least with a confidence that our system works and lets us live together as a people peacefully and productively and in an atmosphere of freedom.